Night of the Comet is a light-hearted post-apocalyptic tale starring a pair of valley girls and a mysterious group of scientists. The film is not concerned with grit or survival as much as it is just having fun, so let's see how this cult hit holds up. Welcome everyone to the Atomic Cinema Experiment. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tara.
Greetings, citizens.
This is a science fiction movie podcast. We get together and we talk about a movie film. It's really quite that simple. And we're in the 80th season, and this is a vote winner. Our patrons voted on this one. Every month at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, our $10 patrons and up get to vote between 3 movies for an episode every month. And the winner was Night of the Comet, which is a 1984 movie in which a comet passes over the Earth and wipes out the vast majority of human life with radiation or magic or something. It's very vague. It's very vague as to what actually causes anything. But it's a post-apocalyptic movie, in essence. So we'll get into it.
Yeah.
We'll start spoiler-free. We'll give you warning before we get to spoilers. It's very 80s. It's very light-hearted. It's practically a teen comedy that happens to be a post-apocalyptic sci-fi movie. Technically, you could also say it's kind of a zombie movie, but even that feels kind of like a stretch.
Yeah, I was getting vibes of which Romero movie is it where they go to a mall?
Dawn of the Dead, you're thinking of.
Dawn of the Dead, yeah. I've never seen it. I've only seen the Zack Snyder version. I know that's I know.
My heart can't take it, Tara.
I've only seen the first Night of the Living Dead. Like, I think I saw it the first time just a couple of years ago.
Well, it's a perfect
beginning of last year, even.
It's a perfect,
maybe only a year ago.
It's a perfect time to then watch Dawn of the Dead. Then you gotta watch the classics.
This is what I thought Dawn of the Dead was going to be about.
There is like a part.
I feel like I've seen it now.
Don't you dare! Don't say these hurtful words to me. Yeah. So we got 2 teen girls are kind of our main characters. Reg and Sam, or Regina and Samantha. The actress who plays Samantha, the younger of the 2 sisters, is played by Maroney, who is in
We've
what else?
Before.
Yes. What else?
Seen TerraVision?
You know, she may actually be, but that's not what I was thinking of. I was thinking of Chopping Mall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She's in Shopping Mall.
I definitely knew her face.
In fact, she's not the only actor in this that's in Shopping Mall.
No, I definitely know the other one.
Yes. Well, because there's only one weird scene at the start of Shopping Mall where there's an actress and also Garrett Graham who just sit and have some lines, and then...
No, she is... you're talking about... I know her name.
Mary Woronov?
Mary Woodar. Yeah, Mary Woodoff.
Woronov. I'm looking at it. Yes,
I saw her name in the opening titles and oh, I know her. She's become just a person on my radar because she keeps popping up all the time. Mary Woronov. She was sitting next to Garrett Graham. Well, not sitting next to him because he was the security guy, right, in Chopping Mall.
No.
Her and him were married in TerraVision.
No, they were sitting next to each other. They were the couple at the start at Shopping Mall.
He's the security guard because he eats it from the... He's
not the security... Tara, how are you so wrong about a Garrett Graham role?
He's not a security guard, but he's in the room with the with all the TV screens.
Nope.
That's when he gets killed.
Nope. He does not get killed in Shopping Mall. He's not in that part of the movie.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Shopping Mall is the android security, right? That comes to life and starts murdering people.
Oh, I love how wrong Tara is about this. Oh, I'm going to enjoy this. No, Shopping Mall opens with Garrett Graham and Mary Woronov sitting, and she makes a weird racist comment about one of the robots looking ethnic, and they're just kind of there in the crowd. That's Garrett Graham's role in Shopping Mall. He's not in the rest of the movie.
No, he's the guy in the room. I love how proud you are, because I'm going to pull it up right now.
He's not in that scene.
Yes, he is. He's the first one who dies.
I'm going to have to edit this a little bit because this is going on too long, but it's going to be so funny when it jump cuts to you admitting you're wrong. Oh, this is gold. Gold, Jerry, gold. Oh, my
I've
face.
sent you a link.
My face. Oh, you've sent me a link, have you?
Now you're definitely going to edit it because you're going to look like an idiot. How dare you test me?
No. No. That's just not... He wasn't...
She is sitting next to somebody else in that scene. But he and Mary Woronov are a couple in Terror Vision. They're the parents.
I hate that you're 100% right. I hate it. I hate it with every fiber of my being. Of course it is. I'm seeing the screenshot at the start. It's this old bald guy with a beard. Oh, I'm so mad. Oh
boy, I hope you don't edit it. It's okay. I could just be a little bit better at Garrett Graham movies.
But it was funnier because you love Garrett Graham if I was right. And fine. Fine. All right, Tara was right, everyone. I yield. I was wrong.
Still the champ.
More importantly, the younger sister is one of the teens in Shopping Mall as well. She works at the restaurant in the movie. She's very notable because of her sort of blonde sort of perm thing she's got going on.
Very 80s, yeah. Very 80s teen.
So, although the older sister Regina is definitely the more main character, I would say. The other main character that pops up is Hector, who is played by someone who I'm sure Tara knows.
Robert Beltran, Akuchimoya. We got ourselves Chakotay. From Star Trek Voyager.
That was a lot of words there, but yes, he's from Star Trek. Even I reckon, I was like, I think he looks familiar. And when I looked him up, I was like, oh, Star Trek Voyager. Yeah, I've seen photos of him in the uniform.
Yeah, I know his voice pretty well also. And I saw his name in the credits. I'm like, oh shit.
Do you know?
I've never seen Chakotay in anything else. Oh, that's not true. He was in Big Love. But
yeah,
those are the only two things I've seen.
Do you know, I actually, there was a moment in this where I thought there was someone else relevant to you in this, and it wasn't, but it sounded a lot like him. At one point you hear like a voice on the radio, and I was convinced it was Tom Servo from Mystery Science Theater because it sounded so much like him.
Kevin Murphy?
Yeah, but I looked it up and it wasn't him. But like I was convinced it was him because it sounded so much like him. He's probably from a similar part of the country or something like that, but he sounded a lot like him.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I noticed that voice, but Servo has a very radio voice.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's got a very kind of presentery, upbeat voice. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so those are our main characters. Our main character Regina works at a movie theater, and the world is sort of like, they all know this comet's passing by. So there's like crowds out in the street. They're having it's almost like a New Year's party type atmosphere where everyone's getting together to watch this comet. They're having barbecues and doing all this sort of stuff. But most of the people die.
We find out that it's only happened once in the last 65 million years.
Yes, around the time of the dinosaurs going away, which you would think people would go, wait a minute, maybe we should...
Well, there are people, it turns out, that because it's established in the opening also.
Yeah, there's some scientists who are going underground who clearly think this is the end of the world, yeah. But there is a bit of a plot hole here, just in saying this is maybe the same meteor or comet, I should say, that killed the dinosaurs. Because the dinosaurs left bones, and it's quite clear in this movie that the humans that died did not leave any bones.
Well, they didn't leave bones during the mass extinction, right? Like, the bones are just because they were around for millions of years, like hundreds of millions of years.
Okay,
so just over time, like, just any bones,
No, that makes sense to me, actually. You're right, yeah. If there was dinosaurs alive when the impact happened of the theoretical comet, then, yeah, and even in the real world, they'd be pulverized. So, okay, fair point. Tara's right again. Tara 2, Peter nil. Yeah. Okay?
Woo!
I admit. What a shit episode this is. Alright.
I like this. I think it's going pretty well.
How dare you emasculate me like this? How dare you?
You've done everything yourself.
That's the ironic joke. I mean, that's the truth of the real world, right? Is that men just do it to themselves by and large. There's like maybe 1%.
Blame the women.
There's like 1% of the time where a woman actually is evil about something, and that's the cause of the problem. 99% of the time, it's the men just being idiots and doing it to themselves. This is true, and we all know it. All right. What was I getting at? Okay. So yeah, that's the start of our movie, and that sets up the world. And it's it's mostly the two teen girls like surviving in this post-apocalyptic version of I think it's maybe LA, but I mean honestly, it looks like it looks like it's maybe mostly shot like in like Canada or something else. If it has that kind of feel to it, where it's like it's meant to be LA, but they're shooting in Vancouver.
I don't know that I see anything like iconically LA in the film, but I want to say that they talk about like certain boulevards and stuff that are in Los Angeles.
I think they talk about stuff.
If they don't outright say it, I'm not sure.
Well, there's a funny line at one point that really cracked me up, where it's sort of like doing the dumb Valley Girl thing, where the younger sister Sam says, "Hey, do you think this happens like in other places as well? You know, like places like Burbank and stuff like that." And I'm like, "That's as far as your mind went with that question, is Burbank? Maybe somewhere outside
Valley Girl bubble,
outside of the state of California, maybe." just an idea. But yeah, so that's the premise of the movie. There are some leftover people who are kinda evil / zombie-esque, but we'll get into like what that is in spoilers. But that is. I
actually need some help with the zombie part of the movie. Anyway,
I watched it twice.
I need some explanation.
Yeah, I watched it twice, so I've got an explanation for you. At least according to the movie's logic, anyway. But we'll save that for spoilers. I'll just ask the question: Tara, did you enjoy Night of the Comet?
I'll say that I think it's a fun movie. If I had seen it when I was like around the time of these kids, maybe I would like it a bit more than I do. I think it's like I see what it's going for, and it's super 80s, and I like that it's kind of an indie 80s teen movie. But I just have some like issues with the film, just about plot and stuff like that I guess I just can't quite get over. But overall, like it is a fun movie. It's a fun like teen comedy coming of age almost film.
I like the vibe of the movie, and that's my favorite thing about it. Watching it again,
it's a good vibe. You're right.
Yeah, watching it again though, I definitely felt a lack of plot. It does feel like the movie doesn't really have much going on until the last like half hour, and then it kind of quickly does some plot stuff. It feels like it's mostly just wanting to show these kids reacting to the world they're in now. So there's not a lot really happening plot wise, and that's a fair critique of it.
I think it's it kind of reminds me of a boy and his dog. That kind of setup, even that also had like a more interesting thing that happened in the final act of the film versus like the beginning and the middle of the film. Yeah, the structure is similar, and I should like it more than I do,
I think this though always feels like it's intentionally and lighthearted, whereas A Boy and His Dog, I think it's aiming for
super dark.
Yeah, it's aiming for bigger ideas, and it feels kind of weird that it does feel so lacking in that respect. Whereas this, like, I think it's supposed to be more lighter. It just could use a bit more momentum at times, because it feels like it's just it feels like once they've like got over the reaction of what's happened in the world, and they run into Hector and kind of form a friendship with him, there is kind of a portion in the middle where they're just kind of waiting around, and like, one character has a dream a couple of times, and then there's and then eventually we get our montage in like a shopping mall so that we can have some our funny 80s stuff. But like, it does kind of like not have much moving forward at points, which is the biggest critique I'd have of it. But I like the actors that are in the movie. I think it's got a fun vibe, and music and just kind of sensibility. So I enjoy it, but it's definitely like it's a fun B movie, but it's not. This is not like when we saw The Blob from '88 and we're like, no, Mike, this is like a sudden favorite, and you have to see it. This is like, if you like the sound of this, you'll probably have a fun time with it, and it's an easy to watch movie where you're doing something else because there's not a lot plot happening, so you can kind of listen to it and just sort of look back occasionally. Yeah,
I like the two leads a lot. I enjoy seeing Chakotay in this too, and he's like a young cool guy. Very different from his Star Trek role,
which is Robert Beltran, just because you keep saying he's Star Trek character, I think. And
Chakotay Akuchimoya.
He's Heck Gomez in this.
He's but I think the trio are pretty good, and I like that this movie seems to be like, kids love horror movies and they love malls, so let's just write a movie for young adults, for teens, where we can have an excuse where there's no adults around and they're trapped in a mall or something like that.
Yeah. Even though like it does kind of feel like the older sisters, given that the younger sister is that classic teenage who's a slightly older actress playing like a 17-year-old or whatever, it feels like the older sister is probably more college age, but the movie still pretends and acts like she's a teenager.
Yeah.
They just sort of go with it, but whatever. but it's worth mentioning.
Yeah,
I
totally.
actually, I would like to. My favorite moment in this whole movie happens right near the start, and so I can bring it up in the spoiler free. But there's an altercation between the younger sister and the stepmom before everyone like disappears that made me burst out laughing, because so basically the stepmom, like the dad's away.
It's a good line. I know where you're going.
Yeah, the dad's away doing stuff, right? He's like, in the military or something, and the younger daughter, like, they clearly hate their stepmom, right? And she's giving her shit, and the younger daughter says, "Hey, maybe Dad will want to know about you spending time with Mr. Jameson, who lives across the street. You get your hand in his pants," and she hits her back with something, but eventually the stepmom slaps her. And there's a second, a beat passes, and then Sam slaps her back, and that kind of made me chuckle. But what really made me laugh was the stepmom then clenching her fist and just hooking her in the face. I did not see it coming, and I burst out laughing.
I thought the line was funny where she said, she's like, you were born with an asshole, so you don't need more than one or something. No.
That was
I can't remember. Something like that.
What do you need Mr. Jameson for? You were already born with an asshole. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. It just escalated to this punch, and I'm like, you know what? Remember the fact that this is supposed to be a minor who just got punched by their evil stepmom. Like she's a monster. Mm-hmm. She's actually a monster.
Yeah. So initially you're just like, okay, well, something's gonna happen here.
Yeah.
Like you already knew where the movie was going, but I'm sure you're like, okay, well, like, she's on the list.
Yeah, she's definitely dead. And also, shout out to, it's like a weird nerdy moment between Reg and like the guy she's kind of casually seen. She's kind of dating the projectionist who's in the movie theater, and they spend the night up in the projection booth because, well, there's a plot reason for it later, but like why they do this is anyone's guess, because she's away from her evil stepmom, I guess. But they've spent the night there, and they're having some pillow talk after they've had sex, and they're talking about how this like projection booth's like completely made of steel, like everything is like completely steel, like coated, and the guy is like, yeah, so even Superman couldn't see through it, and she's like, what? It's like, yeah, steel's the one thing, and I'm a DC Comics fan, I'm a Superman fan, and
everybody knows this too. Like,
I'm screaming at the screen, I'm like, that's lead, you idiot! He can see through steel. And then Reg, becoming my number one bae in this movie, says, that's lead, you nerd. I'm like, all right, okay, she's got my vote.
Plus, everyone knows that because he has X-ray vision, and what's the one thing you have to use when you are getting X-rayed? You have to wear the lead stuff around the parts you want to protect.
Yeah, so
because X-rays don't go through that. It's obvious.
It's simple. Basically, yeah, this guy Eric or whatever his name is, he's an idiot.
Agreed. Dump him. Not worth it.
Yes. So yeah, there's just a couple of funny moments early on that tickled my my sensibilities, but yeah. So the director and writer of this movie is the same guy, Thom Eberhardt. It's got a D and a T at the end. I'm not sure which one's silent, but he's not done a lot of stuff. He's directed things here or there, but nothing I've heard of. The only credit he has that I recognize is he was the writer on Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. Which we'll do
Maybe
at some
he's like
point.
A music video guy. You can kind of see that working out. MTV era.
No, he's not got any music videos. He's got some TV movies, some TV episodes, and some just movies I've never heard of. But yeah,
he's got good style. It's a shame he didn't do more.
Yeah, it's a fun time, and I thought maybe because he's only got so many directing credits, I thought, oh, maybe he's more of a writer, but he's got less writing credits than he does directing, so I don't know what he was doing otherwise. Doesn't have that long a career. Maybe he's one of those guys that got a lot of uncredited work helping out on various projects over the years, and that's why he's not got a big list of things on IMDb. But yeah, nothing much to note really from him, sadly.
Well, that's too bad. Because he seems like he's, I don't know, like you watched Miracle Mile recently. It kind of has a similar look and feel to it, I thought, while watching it. Not quite as intense as that film, but like,
yeah.
it's got that similar indie vibe of the 80s, though. You know, things are kind of colorful and fun.
It's got that 80s.
Upbeat.
There's a very specific 80s feel that I know what you're talking about. That's in both movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Miracle Mail's a better movie because it's like a much tighter script that's always, you know, keeping you going. But
Yeah.
I see what you're saying though.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. As far as spoiler-free stuff goes, I don't know if there's much more that I really feel like I need to say. I think everything's just kind of plot related at this point.
Yeah. I don't remember the score, but I'm sure it was synthy and good.
There was some synth. They actually did pay for a well-known song though, because Girls Just Want to Have Fun plays in the middle.
That's true. That's true. They did have some music in there that
I was
recognized.
gobsmacked when that started playing, because it was like, wait, this is like a real song people know. You must have paid a fortune for this. That's half the budget, probably. So, yeah. But yeah, all right. So we'll give the spoiler warning, and then we'll get into everything else and just sort of work through the movie. You know, there's like a weird narration at the start that kind of sets up the ominous like comet that's coming. It's like you're watching like a really serious science documentary, but it's just the narration intro to the movie.
I don't love the narrator. I mean, I guess in any other movie I would like the narrator, but I think because this one is it is kind of setting up that you're getting into some hokey stuff because the narrator is a bit too much, if you know what I mean. Like he's a bit hokey also.
Yeah, I think I kind of like his voice, but I don't necessarily have a strong feeling one way or the other on his inclusion
I guess
here.
if you know that this movie is meant to be for like teenagers and like it's supposed to be kind of fun, like this is setting up like, oh, you're about to watch a horror movie or something like that, but it's gonna have a good time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the things that the characters, like, obviously they react a little bit to the fact that everyone's gone, but it never feels that serious or depressing like it should be. Like, if you were actually in this situation, it would be, like, devastating, and you'd be, like, you know, you'd be having, like, a crisis. And these characters are just kind of, like...
If all your loved ones turned into colorful chalk, like, yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking more like dust, like they've been staked, like they were vampires who were staked. They're just, like, little pails of dust.
Yeah, but they're like orange and purple and stuff.
Yeah, they have colours,
they're all like different colors.
I wonder what the logic is about, like, why certain people are orange, why certain people are green. Like, what's the scientific reasoning for that?
I don't know. They're scheduled colored, I guess. I don't know. Just whatever flavor they were.
Yeah, we're introduced to Red. She gets away with murder at her job because she's just playing the arcade machine like the whole time, and her boss is not firing her for some reason.
She's hot. She's a hot lady. So.
Oh, you think that's it? You think the middle-aged manager's just like, nah, I like having her around because I'm a dirty old man.
Probably.
Yeah. So she spends the night with her boyfriend, or kind of boyfriend, in the projection booth because she doesn't want to go home, and she wants to maybe go see the comet. Although she never actually does, obviously, because she survives. The boyfriend's got a racket where he like lends out prints of movies so they can be copied, and then he gets them given back, which is what he's doing.
Yeah.
This was piracy before the internet. He had projectionists like handing out prints.
He was the Napster of the time.
For a little payday. Yeah. And we mentioned what happens with the younger sister. She goes and like hangs out in the their steel shed, which is, again, that's the important plot point of like hanging out in the steel projection like booth, is that's what seemingly protects them from the wave of radiation or whatever it is that comes from the comet that kills everyone else.
That's lucky.
Yeah. But there are some people left over because quite quickly this guy she's with gets killed by like we'll call him a zombie, but I mean, like, it's not exactly that either. Basically, the way it's explained in the movie is that these people who are kind of like, they're basically still doing what's happened to everyone else, but it's happening slower because they were partially protected. That's what's happening to them. So
yeah. That's the logic, but it's just meant to have like, I don't know, like it's so easy to just have bad people in the movie, but for some reason they're like, we have to make them monsters, like actual monsters.
But it also makes it easy to have a happy ending because you know that all these people who are like this are just going to die out quite quickly. You know, like in a few months they'll all be gone, and you'll just be like left alone anyway. So it's safe, everyone. We can all be happy now with our new happy family that we make by the end. That's fine. Yeah, like,
I guess so.
I mean, I guess one of the disappointments in the movie is that the action's not that great, because, like, you know, when Reg eventually goes outside and she's attacked by this same zombie guy, like, her daring escape is just hitting them with a stick and running to a bike. There's like nothing exciting about it.
That's true. I mean, it would be much better if they all knew kung fu, but that's just asking too much, I guess. Same with the zombies, if they're kung fu zombies. That was the actual thing that kept people alive, was if you knew kung fu. Ooh, I like this movie now. I like this movie I'm writing.
What's your
Planet?
What's your justification that the rays of the comet like won't affect you completely if you know kung fu?
Well, kung fu provides a magical aura.
Oh, okay.
That will reflect any
like a chi
radiation.
It's like an inner chi because you're at peace with yourself inside.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, appropriate anything, but just the kung fu.
Okay.
Anyone who has taken martial arts classes have survived. But the people who don't know martial arts that well, I mean, they're slowly turning into zombies. So you have some zombie kung fu villains, and then you have our heroes who obviously also know kung fu, or taekwondo, or whatever, I want Miami Connection Planet. Okay, that's what I want.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that's a movie where everyone seems to know martial arts of some kind. That and Rotor.
Except for Rotor himself, he doesn't.
Yeah, of course. Two of the greats. So she rushes home on a bike to see if her family, if anyone's alive, and like Sam just kind of saunters out like nothing's happened, because I guess it's playing on that Ditsy Valley Girl thing, is she's not even noticed that the entire world has disappeared. She's just like having cereal and
she's just in her own head. Like, if it's not affecting her immediately, she's not noticing it.
Yeah.
But she does have dreams. Like, she has like 2 dreams in a row or something of zombies, which is weird.
That's later on at the radio station.
Yeah, you're right.
Which, by the way, the radio station, which I mean, they get there quite quickly. I mean, here, all that happens here is basically Reg goes outside and picks up some of the clothes from the garden party where like all the dust is, and she's like, "Where are all the kids?" It's Saturday morning, and like the street's just completely dead silent.
Yeah.
Which, and we should mention here that from this point on, they've got this like it's what it reminds me of. Do you remember we did the Day the Earth Caught Fire? And that was a black and white movie, but they did that sort of orange tint when it was getting really hot. This kind of has that whenever they're outside, where the top half of the screen has like this orange tint to show that the sky's changed.
Yeah.
So you see it when she's like driving around in the motorbike, and you see it again here when she's out in the street. There's this kind of like effect they've got on the screen to try and like show.
Everything looks kind of like hazy also. Almost like because everybody has turned to dust, like that's what's in the air. It's just a really dusty environment now. You're
literally walking through the ashes of like everyone that ever lived.
Yeah.
That's metal, I suppose. Yeah.
It's pretty metal, yeah.
Yeah, but they hear the radio and they're like, wait, there's still someone at the radio station. It turns out to be a recording, of course. There's no one really there. But
is it though?
They drive to the radio station, and this is like the most unrealistic looking radio station I've ever seen in a movie, because it's this big open floor with almost nothing in it. But there's like one little desk with the radio stuff, but it's otherwise like an open floor with like one couch, and I'm like, what? This isn't a station. This is like such a waste of space. Like, what is this?
This has got a little dance floor. It's like a DJ booth, yeah.
It's like a DJ booth that they also broadcast from the radio. It's just like the weirdest like choice ever. But this is where they run into Hector, who holds a gun on them because he's worried that they might be crazy. Like, he's encountered like one of these zombies already. And this basically starts he's clearly into Reg. Reg's slowly going to be into him. And Sam feels jealous because there's only one guy left in the world, and he's picked the sister like every other guy she's ever met.
Well, she's hotter.
I mean, I wasn't going to say that because that sounds a bit... It sounds shitty coming from me. But yeah, Reg is hotter than Sam. I'll give it to you. It's very clear later on when they do the montage when they're trying on all the different like 80s clothes, and I'm like, yeah, like, Reg is the sexy one. There's no denying this.
Yeah, it's alright. The older ones usually are.
Spoken like a true older sister.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
I wish you heard that.
So... yeah, so they run to Hector, and there's a bit of sadness a little bit here. But this is the thing, like, they basically hang around. I think we cut to the scientists for the first time around here, but we'll get back to them later. We'll do all the scientist stuff.
And they have leg warmers.
Yeah.
I think it's weird.
We'll do all the scientist stuff sort of when they come out of the plot more, but like, basically they're just sitting around, and it feels like Reg and Hector are bonding, but Hector's like, look, tomorrow I'm going to like drive to San Diego, and she's like, why? Because, well, my mum's there, and she's probably dead, but I got to know, like, I got to go and see. So there's like a little subplot with him like driving to San Diego, and like he goes into the house, he takes some like family photos and stuff that he wants to keep, and then he runs into a zombie person and he has to escape.
It's like a little boy.
Yeah.
Did he say he recognized the boy?
He might have done. But I mean, he basically just sort of like locks the door, runs out the other side, and leaves. Again, the action in the movie's not that good. Like, every time they're in danger, it's kind of like, it has the choreography of what you'd expect from like a cheap TV show at the time, like a kind of an action show on TV.
Yeah, I agree.
So meanwhile, though, the sisters they go and get some guns, and they practice with their submachine guns by shooting a cop car. I think it's before this as well that she has her two nightmares that you mentioned, where she has a nightmare where she's...
those are zombie cops.
She's joyriding in the post-apocalypse and drinking booze, and she gets pulled over, but then the cops are zombies. And I was glad this turned out to be a nightmare, because I thought this was really weird and stupid, and then she woke up, and I was like, okay.
But then they do it again.
They do the double fake out where she goes to the bathroom to wash her face, and then she gets grabbed by the same zombie cop, and then she wakes up again. And it's like, oh, come on, movie. Like, we did.
Yeah.
This is the sort of shit that Brahms and the boy does. That movie. That I don't like very much.
I've not seen it, so I don't know. I know only by its reputation.
And what a reputation it has.
But yeah, there's a double dream fake out is there's a reason like we don't approve of that anymore. Yeah. But this is a time when you're like, okay, I guess maybe they've not done this before, or if they have, it's very rare.
Oh, it's definitely been done before this movie. Come on.
The double dream fake out?
Yeah, it's definitely been done before this.
Okay, because the dream fake out thing obviously has been a while, but I don't know about the double dream.
Yeah. Obviously, I accept it when it's not horror. Like, Inception's fine, because the whole premise of that movie is that we're doing dream within a dream within a dream. So that's the whole mechanic, but...
I don't think I've ever had a dream within a dream.
I may have done. I don't know. I don't remember most of my dreams. I have no idea. But like I said, though, it does kind of feel like at this point in the middle, it's just kind of killing time. So we get these dream sequences to just have something happen, but nothing really happened. Mm-hmm. So, but they're practicing with the submachine guns, and then Sam gets kind of upset, and she's like, "Did you make it with him last night?" Which is a phrase that's said like 5 times in this movie that I don't think I've ever heard used to be describe sex before. Is "Did you make it with him?" Make what, a baby?
I mean, make love, obviously.
Okay. It sounded too nice and, I don't know, flowery, I guess, for teenagers, but I guess that makes sense.
I mean, it's before our generation, so I don't know what teens would have said at the time, but like definitely that's something that changes throughout time anyway, where people say
true
other things instead.
Yes.
Yeah. I can forgive it.
Yeah, there was a really dated bit after this actually, where Sam says, "What if he's gay because he didn't come on to you last night?" And I'm like, "He just met her yesterday." Like, come on.
But I'm so hot.
Yeah, and
there's like no women left.
Yeah, and she throws out a homophobic slur, which is obviously just something that was more accepted at the time, but worth pointing out.
Yeah, totally.
But to try and cheer her up, she's like, "Hey, let's go and like do some shopping because we don't have to pay for anything.
Let's go to the mall." Yeah.
So they go and we get the montage of them trying on different clothes, and then the first real bit of plot probably happens, which is that there's a gang, a Tasha Yar rape gang, you might even say.
Hell yeah.
Is in control of them all and so we see this guy they all wear sunglasses and they're watching the security monitors, and they sort of like come out and start attacking them and talking over the tannoy, and the girls try to get back to their guns and have a bit of a standoff. I kind of liked how goofy the leader of this group was. He had this kind of, again, he had like a sort of radio DJ kind of vibe, the way he talked to everyone.
I didn't really like him very much, but at least he was a character that was, distinguishable from the rest of the gang. But
sure,
he kind of, I don't know, he was doing his like college acting theater group thing. It was a bit over the top, I thought.
I think it fit in this for me, but I get what you're saying. Like I think I enjoyed just how cartoony he was.
He was very cartoony. I feel like he was trying to channel like Clockwork Orange performance or something, but he just wasn't quite up to that caliber.
Sure. But this is where we have to start talking about the scientists, because this is where they eventually came in and kind of saved the day, quote unquote. It's because there's this group of underground scientists, and Mary Woronov, who was not sitting next to Garrett Graham in Shopping Mall, but was in Shopping Mall sitting next to another man. She is the scientist who's sympathetic because the other scientists want to bring back survivors to their underground lab, and she doesn't want to. And as the movie goes on, we kind of get it's because they're probably killing these people for science, and then it becomes even clearer later on that they're killing these people because they're trying to save themselves, because as she tells us later, they went into a secret lab to save themselves, but they left the filtration system on, so some of the rays still come into the base, so they're very, very slowly turning into these zombies and then will very slowly die. So they're trying to like,
unless they get blood transfusions or something from healthy people.
Yeah, something like that. But she's the scientist with a conscience, so she's not really wanting to do it. So she ends up betraying them and whatever. But like they come looking for them because they hear them on the radio. Because at one point Sam starts just talking onto the radio because, well, why wouldn't she? I suppose. But they come looking for them. They save them from these guys in the mall, and then
because it was guns versus shoes up until that point. So.
Yes. Well, honestly, the probably the weirdest moment in the whole movie for me, from like a character perspective, is that Reg and Sam just agree to split up here. Like Reg agrees to go with them in a helicopter back to their base and leave Sam with a couple of the other scientists. And I feel like they wouldn't want to split up with these strangers. That felt really off to me. But
yeah, you're right. Like I think I got vibes of that too, where it's just like, why would they do that? Like, because they really have just each other and they're sisters, so like
yeah. But Reg literally goes out of the helicopter and just gives a little like happy wave, like, "Bye, I'll see you later, Sam." Like, very trusting.
Good luck. Let me know what happens.
Yeah, especially since in theory, like Sam is supposed to be killed because she keeps scratching something, so they assume that she's infected. It turns out that she's just got a skin condition that's separate from the Comet. Yeah. And the scientist lady like makes it look she kills her by giving her a shot, but she's not really done that. And she kills her partner and then waits for Hector to come back from San Diego and tells him like who they are, what's going on, and where to find Reg, and slowly dies because she's killed herself. And that's like her whole bit. Why Hector comes back dressed as Santa Claus, I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know. Did he come down a chimney?
I guess he's got some presents for them, so he's doing a whole bit, but I don't know. It's the most random thing ever. He comes in dressed as Santa Claus.
Well, there's not very many men left on the planet, so you take what you can get. Akuchimoya.
Oh, yeah.
It does seem to be around Christmas, though, right?
Does it?
Because I remember like the mall had like holly and Christmas lights and stuff up.
Oh, maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe it's Christmas time.
I mean, it's hard to tell if it is like Los Angeles and like San Diego and stuff.
Yeah, no snow or anything to give us an obvious, tell sign.
Yeah, and they're like dressed like it's summer.
Yeah. So Reg is getting asked a bunch of questions from the lead scientist back at the base, and this guy's very theatrical. He's got a couple of lines that cracked me up. Not because the lines themselves were funny, but just because the way he said them.
The delivery.
Yeah. Because there's a line later because they're going to like kill a couple of kids for their blood, and one of them says there's no such thing as Santa Claus, and I thought that this was going to lead to like Hector still being dressed as Santa Claus, and the kids were going to be like, oh shit, Santa came and saved us, but instead Hector's turned into a cowboy by the time he shows up to save people at the lab. So it didn't link up at all, but that's whatever. Anyway, so the kids, like, what the older boys like, oh, Santa Claus isn't real, and then the lead scientist who's got the sunglasses on is like, you don't believe in Santa Claus? And he's like, oh, so over the top. He's chewing the scenery as he says it. But
yeah,
he's asking Reg all these questions about her, obviously for her blood condition. He's like, have you got hepatitis? Have you got diabetes? Have you ever had this? You ever had that? And she's like trying to like bite the tag off the belt she stole from them all because that's all she cares about. And she's asking a bunch of dumb questions.
Yeah. I mean, they're fun characters for sure.
They are fun. Like I said, the action is the thing that lets it down because like there's twice in this like section where she like basically fights back against a scientist and gets away and starts running around. But in both occasions, it's just like she grabs something and like there's like a really soft hit over the back of the head, and that's like, oh, she's knocked out the scientist, so she can.
Well, she was also the one who was throwing the shoes versus the guy with the Uzis at the mall.
I mean, Reg is very. I mean, we know from the start of the movie, and I never mentioned this, but we should mention it because it comes up again right at the end. Is that she's really good at that video game and the arcade machine she was playing, and she's got all the high scores, but she's upset at the start of the movie because like number 6 has been replaced by someone called DMK or something like that, which made me go death, murder, kill.
Death, murder, kill.
That's a Demolition Man reference for you wise quick-witted people in the audience. But yeah, so she's running around, she tries to save the kids in the lab. Hector shows up and basically like just wise chats or like chat up the guard with the gun, who's a guy, but he's like, hey, do you like girls? He's like, come look at this, and he opens up his car, and Sam's pretending to be dead in the trunk, but then they attack him.
Well, hold on now. I'm starting to remember because I watched this a few days ago, but
yeah,
so the sisters, the reason they split up is because Reg believes that Sam is dead.
No.
Yeah, because she gets injected by Mary Woronov.
Yeah, but they're already split up at that point. They split up before that.
Oh, okay. Because I thought that's why Reg left her, like just because she thought that they were dead. No, you're right.
No, because the happy wave happened. Yeah. You know, all that.
You're right. They wave goodbye and they go their separate ways, and then Mary Woronov, quote, kills Samantha.
Yeah. Tara 2, Peter 1.
I can't believe that you're this petty.
I'm not being petty. I'm trying to keep a running gag going. Forgive me for trying to have a bit of a running joke. All right, fine. What do you want from me? All right, so
I just needed some clarification about the plot. All right.
Okay. No. That's why it's weird that she leaves her in the split up, because that doesn't happen till after the split. Yeah. Because the scientist says your sister's already dead. She's like, what? Like,
that's right, yeah.
Don't worry, she'd be dead in a few hours anyway, or a few days anyway. But she runs around, grabs the kids, they make their way out. Sam comes inside and helps them get out as well. There's like a weird scene with 2 female scientists who are like putting a couple of guys up to like blood transfusions, and they basically have this weird conversation how they love working with kids and they can't wait to like talk to them, and it's like, you're going to kill them though, like you're literally going to murder these children for their blood to save yourself. But Hector plants some explosives on their cars while Sam's helping Reg that out. And when they get outside, they basically just taunt the scientist to come in a car to chase them, and then the car blows up. Although right before it does, you see that the head scientist is starting to look like the zombies with the sort of the shape around their eyes, and like their skin's starting to sink in.
Yeah.
So. And that's basically, like, there's not a lot of plot to this movie. It's shockingly, like, it kind of waits around for things to happen, and then you get all the scientist stuff in the last, like, 20 minutes or so to kind of, like, give it an ending. And there's one last scene to talk about, but, like, that's the actual crisis over.
Yeah, I like the scientist stuff at the end, because I think that's when, like, it is the third act, and so like things are really amping up, but I think they do a good job with making the third act kind of the best act out of the film, because there's just a lot more to cling on to there. Versus, like, I mean, the stuff in the mall is really fun, obviously, and like the beginning where it's setting up the problem and the situation and stuff like that is fun. But like, I don't know, I just like I liked more characters, and like whatever this mysterious band of scientists was and what they were doing, I thought that was more interesting, and it would have been nice to have more of that sprinkled throughout.
Oh, for sure. Like, it'd been interesting to know exactly what, like, obviously in the movie they'll just try to save themselves, but what will they try to do? Because that wasn't the plan. The plan was to like just survive. So what were they going to do in this post-apocalypse if they didn't need to save themselves? Like, if they were just fine, what would the project be about? Like, that's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, exactly. It's just an empty like bunker.
It never comes up.
Various different rooms and hallways, and it's like, what were they studying? Like, were they just studying the comet, and they knew something because of what they observed, or is it just like a cult of scientists almost? You know, like
it feels like there's a lot they could do with that. It also feels weird that the movie, like, none of the characters ever even bring up like where to go get food. And I know it's like obviously just happened, so all the stores will still have a lot of food, but they never even talk about like long-term survival. They never talk about infrastructure or everything they're going to lose. Like, electricity's still working because it's literally, like we're still the next day, and like no one's using any, so there's still some in the tank, if you will. So
sure,
like,
yeah,
it feels like
machines haven't broken down yet.
The movie never even addresses like them even thinking about like how are we going to survive in this world, or repopulate it, or whatever. Although they're both pretty horny though, so I mean I guess the repopulation won't be a big deal, but
yeah, they're both like what, 19 according to the movie or something.
The last scene of the movie is like Hector and Reg are dressed up like they maybe like got married, kinda.
Yeah. And they have the two kids from the lab that they adopted.
That's their children now. And like Sam's across the street dressed just kind of like Sam, and she's sort of like just like jealous and annoyed that because she's like, they look like the Brady Bunch, and she's like really upset about it. And then, you know, the powers that be answer her prayers for like a man for her, because then a car comes swerving round and almost hits her. Because she's making fun of them.
Boy.
Yeah. Well, he's not really. He's kind of a nerd, to be honest. He just happens to be in a car with sunglasses. But it turns out that he's DMK from the arcade machine. This is the guy who beat Reg, or at least he didn't even beat her. Like, she still had the top 5 scores. He just was on the leaderboard. But as soon as he turns around and apologizes for almost hitting her, like when she gets a good look at his face, she just kind of looks up and goes, "Thank you." Like, and she goes into the car, and like Hector's getting really protective. He's like, we don't know who this guy is. He could be dangerous or something.
Well, he's the dad now, right? So.
Yeah. And she's like, what's your name? And he's like, Peter. He's like, his name's Peter. Right, I'll be back later. And they drive off. And then the movie ends. Yeah. I just have to assume that this is where Tommy Wiseau got some inspiration, because the movie ends with Hector in his like tux tossing a football with the kids down the street, and I'm like, this is the room. Like, you're doing you're doing the.
So anyway, how's your sex life? That's the kids to Hector, obviously.
Yes. Well, it'll be very problematic. They'll be around. Oh dear. You keep saying that with such reverence.
Because that's how Chakotay says it.
So yeah, I bet you were just delighted to find like a Star Trek actor in like a small movie role like years before they got their break.
Hell yeah. He's so young and cute in it too. I mean, he still sounds like Chakotay, and he doesn't quite have like the acting chops for someone like Patrick Stewart, or I don't know. He's more on the level of maybe Jonathan Frakes as far as acting goes. And even when you see Frakes in a movie before, you're like, yeah, you're not a movie star.
Oh yeah, okay. DMK stood for Danny Mason Keener. That was his name.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They mentioned that. Yes. And this actor was also.
They just say his full name.
Yeah, he was also in Christine, which is his other, I guess, relatively
another
notable
car movie. Maybe that's why he's in this in a car, because he's a good driver or something.
Christine was a year before this, so yeah, maybe Carpenter saw him in this and went, "Oh, he's the teenage heartthrob for me." I don't know. It's a fun movie. Like it probably sounds like I've been mostly critiquing it for like having a very laxed plot, and I think it is a fair complaint. And it's fair to say that there's maybe some interesting things they could have done with this lab and the scientists who are up to something. Like, what was their
jazzed it up a bit.
Like, what was their purpose if they didn't get sick? Like, that would have been an interesting thing.
Why did they have matching jumpsuits? Yeah.
that's also true. Yeah, and definitely some more survival stuff. Even without, it's not even that I want more zombie-esque stuff. Like, I'm kind of glad that it shies away from that, because it's like, there's tons of zombie movies. I like the zombie movie, but just, you know, like surviving in the post-apocalypse or stuff. Like, you can still keep it being fun. Like, have them do more stuff. Have them, like, all we see them do is like have fun looking for clothes. Like, let's see them, like, I don't know, like go and do something else that they wouldn't be able to do if people were around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. Go. I don't know. What would you do if like, suddenly there was no people and you could just do whatever you wanted anywhere you wanted?
Oh, stay home. I don't know.
Go to the swimming pool, swim naked in the swimming pool because there's no one around. I don't know.
I'd have to be pretty sure there's no one around to put myself in a vulnerable position like that.
That's fair.
I probably would go and like, yeah, I'll go try on all the expensive stuff I can't get.
Oh yeah, I'd go find the biggest TV and like get the ultimate home cinema system set up.
It's not stealing, like it's all left for you. So
absolutely. I suppose actually the first thing I would do
I'd
is
probably move.
Get a bigger house, but I would get some books out on how to like keep generators running so I'd have electricity forever.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd worry about that too much. I guess if it's easy enough to get gasoline and a generator, then sure. But otherwise, like, I don't know, man. May have to learn how to make fire.
Adding movies and stuff, I can't live without that. I'll just kill myself if I can. It's fine.
You know, books exist.
I mean, true, but that's not my love. My love is for film.
I think I'd be ready to close the chapter on the electricity.
Nah, need electricity. It's bad enough internet won't exist anymore. Like electricity too? Nah.
Yeah. At least the whole world would be vegan if it was just me left.
I mean, true. All the animals are dead though.
Is that true?
Well, we don't see any other animals in the movie, I don't think.
Yeah, except for the ones kept in steel cages. Oh, the shelters. I'd have to go to each shelter and rescue them. At least set them free. All the kitties and stuff free.
Yeah, what are they going to eat, though?
Cats, they'll be fine. They'll figure it out.
But there's no other animals to eat. Like, that's what they hunt if they're out in the wild.
I don't know. Maybe the birds all like outran it. Outran the comet.
All right, I don't even know where this is going to go now. This is a bit of a shorter episode than normal, but like, honestly, the movie's so simple that this is kind of all I've got for you. I don't have anything else to say.
Yeah, it's not really too much to analyze, but I mean, it's a fun time. I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah, it's a fun, pleasant watch. There's just not much to it, really. Mm-hmm. But it's just a fun time. If you like this kind of vibe, I think you'll at least enjoy it as a background watch. If not, you know. So it's definitely something you can easily watch whilst you're like playing a game or, you know, something. So
yeah, it's like I said, if I had seen it when I was younger, I probably would like it a lot more. But I think it's fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, what are you going to rate Night of the Comet?
I think I'll give it a 6.5. Not quite up to the 7, but close.
Yeah, I think 6 is a fair score, and it's a pleasant 6. It's a 6 that I recommend as a 6, but. Mm-hmm. Fundamentally, it's just not got enough in it to really put it up any higher for me. So, but yeah, a nice, strong, good 6 out of 10.
Yeah, totally.
So there you go. That's Night of the Comet. Next time on the Atomic Cinema Experiment, we'll be continuing the 80s season with a movie not only from the 80s season, but also titled as such, and that is 1984, which I've never seen. So,
I don't think I've seen it either.
Yeah. So John Hurt was in it. I know that much, but that's
we get some Orwellian references in this, so we'll be able to figure out what all the 1984 references are when people talk about on the news how we're living in 1984. I think
I get it from context. Like I know what people mean when they say that, but yeah, I've never actually read or watched any 1984. So
me neither.
So yeah,
I don't think I did. No, I read Animal Farm. But that's the only George Orwell I think I've read.
I'll be curious to see how I feel about it. But that is next time on the show, so thank you very much for joining us. You can, of course, support all the content by going over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and supporting us over there. You get a bonus episode on a monthly basis at the lowest tier. And then at the next tier up, you also get Meltdown every month, which is a movie show where we just talk about all the different movies we've been watching, plus we do a sci-fi movie quiz for each other at the start. So if that sounds like fun, as well as, you know, other things like early access and whatnot, go and have a look and see if you're interested in helping keeping the show going and keeping all the content coming. Plus there's bonuses for the other shows from Mail of the Fuzz movies, like Screams After Midnight and the Collector's Cut, so go and have a look. But otherwise, like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications. All these things help out on YouTube a lot. If you listen to the audio version, rate us 5 stars on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast from. All these things, very helpful. But mostly just come back and keep listening to the show. Thank you very much. This has been the Atomic Cinema Experiment.
It was great. I had a good time. I'll come back again.
Oh, good. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching science fiction and computer. Ad Salsa.